Question is that the motion be agreed to.
Mr Speaker.
Reno Turakatna.
Oh, thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm very pleased to speak at the second reading of this bill, the New Zealand Horticulture Export Authority Amendment Bill. And sir, this bill, I'd like to acknowledge at the outset the Honourable Colin Moyle, who established distinguished member of this House and a Minister of Agriculture in the Fourth Labour Government, who established this authority, sir. And it was one of a number of quite groundbreaking reforms that were initiated under his tenure as the Minister. And the Export Authority, sir, is a hybrid. It's not quite a single monopoly, single desk monopoly, and it's not where participants in the market are free to do whatever they want and export whatever they want. So this was Mr Moyle's design, that there be a hybrid export authority, and this is the model that was used. So what does it do? It requires product groups, horticultural product groups, have to apply under the Act if they want to. It's a voluntary system. They can apply to be a registered product group under the Act, and what does that mean? It requires them to do two things, primarily, two tools. One is that all product that is exported has to come from a licensed export packhouse, and there are requirements around that. And it also requires that those product groups comply with an agreed export marketing plan. And so it is about collaboration. It's about these horticultural industries working together to compete in the export marketplace and international markets. So it's a great model, and it's 29 years old. It's coming up to its 30th anniversary next year. And but it has been pointed out, as it's periodically been reviewed, that it's in need of modernisation. And so this was first mooted back in its independent review back in 2009, and here we are in 2016, finally implementing the legislation which will give effect to those changes, sir. And I do acknowledge the Minister and the other members of the Select Committee. We did hear from, we did receive 10 submissions from primarily, obviously, the stakeholders who are directly impacted by this, which is the authority itself, and the different product groups or participants or in those product groups. Just so to give people a bit of flavour to what product groups are actually come within the framework of the Horticulture Export Authority. They are the likes of, as we've heard, avocado, what else is there? Kiwi fruit, but only kiwi fruit to Aussie, not generally. Buttercup squash, through to very up-and-coming industries like truffles and tamarillos. And they're not really, they haven't adopted the full requirements to be export licensed because they're only just starting out. But so there is a wide range. We've got summer fruits in there as well. There's a wide range of horticultural product groups that are part of this Horticultural Export Authority regime. They are working together. They have got their requirements in place, and this bill, sir, is about them updating, providing a bit more flexibility in terms of the requirements that they might have to do to better compete and to better market their wonderful produce in the international markets. So what are the amendments that that we have considered, sir? Well, there were three main substantive amendments. There have been a lot of technical amendments that have been made, but the substantive issues which submitters mainly were focused on were around three things. The infringement regime, or an infringement regime that could be inserted into the bill. Also, the requirements around the entry and the exit of a particular product group or industry into the Export Authority framework. And the last one was an issue around fee exemptions. Now, those three areas, sir, mainly revolve around the powers of the Export Authority and what it can or can't do. In relation to the first aspect, sir, regarding an infringement regime, the Export Authority wanted to be able to impose fines for non-compliance, particularly, these are like low-level fines to exporters who don't have an export licence or who aren't playing by the rules. It was to send them a message, and so the Export Authority asked if there could be an infringement regime which they could basically carry out themselves. However, on consideration, it was felt that there are already quite heavy sanctions within the Act itself, and they are criminal offences, which obviously is quite a different level of an offence. And it was felt that to have a dual type level, two levels of offences, which would, and with infringements being solely the responsibility of the Export Authority, would be beyond the scope of what was required, and so that was declined, and it hasn't been put into the second creation of this bill. And the other more substantial issue, sir, which was quite interesting, was the entry and exit requirements. And so, as currently drafted in the bill, there were it's like a four out of four boxes that had to be ticked for a particular product group to be included into the framework. And those four boxes were growers and exporters oh gosh, yeah. And sorry, so you've got the growers and exporters, and by number and by value. It's quite confusing, but if you can bear with me, it's about getting 60% or more of the growers of that particular product group and the entities that are involved. And the whole purpose of getting that broad support was to ensure that no one section of an industry could influence the direction where that industry wanted to go. And it was felt by the industry participants themselves that having to tick all four boxes was maybe a bit too onerous and a bit too restrictive on them having to make future decisions as to whether they might want to exit from the regime or indeed enter the regime or make changes. However, following close consideration of that particular issue, it was felt that it was justified having the four requirements in place for the very reason why the Export Authority was established, which was to make sure there was broad agreement from the whole industry, small players and big players, growers and exporters, broad agreement and support, which is why there's a 60% plus threshold from all of those different groups on the actual direction that that industry wanted to head in under the Export Authority's framework. And so that has been left in place. So, but they were the significant, two of the most significant issues that we had to consider. And I'm sure that the members of the, particularly the product groups and the industries and the companies concerned, are just looking forward to the passage of this legislation. It's been a long time in gestation, and I'm pleased that we've been able to continue it on, and I look forward to being able to complete this process, hopefully in the not too distant future, and I commend this bill to the House.
Ian